Orson Welles, also known as Boy Wonder. But who was he? How did he start his journey? Orson Welles was considered to be one of the most influential and innovative filmmakers of the 20th century. Many of his films were ambitious, original, but most importantly, epic. But who made him who he was? Who made him Boy Wonder? His mother, Beatrice Ives, and his father, Richard Welles, had huge influences on him. His mother was a famous classical pianist and his father an inventor. However, the two divorced when he was young, leaving little Orson Welles alone with his mother and her influence. As Orson Welles grew up, his mother submerged him completely in the arts and culture. From surrounding him with actors, musicians, and artists, bringing him along to orchestras and plays, all of it is what made him a child prodigy of the arts. He learned Shakespeare's soliloquies and the classical piano at age 7, but most importantly, he began writing plays at age 8. With his intellect and creativity, his father sent him to the Todd School for Boys about 3 or so years after his mother died. It was at this school he took his talent and thrived. He wrote his school plays, starred in them. He discussed intricate acting techniques with his fellow peers. Soon after he graduated, he found himself traveling through different countries, promoting himself as one of America's top actors. He got hired in Dublin and surrounded himself with many of Ireland's best, most cutting-edge actors. It was only after his Broadway debut at 19 as Tybalt in Romeo and Juliet that Orson Welles finally took Hollywood by storm. Orson Welles produced many films throughout his career, yet none of them truly aligned with one of his first Hollywood films, Citizen Kane. This is also one of the films I had the opportunity to view myself. The audience will learn that throughout the film we find a reporter attempting to decipher the last words of Charles Foster Kane, Rosebud. His story is shown through a series of interviews which allows characters to shed more light on Kane's life, allowing them to find out the complexity of his life. Orson Welles plays the character of Charles Foster Kane, and he does so magnificently. The film itself actually received a bit of controversy due to how closely related Charles Foster Kane and film mogul William Randolph Hearst were. Because of this, although the film had great reviews, it didn't truly take off until its second release in the 1950s. Orson Welles and his co-producer had complete creative freedom for the film, which allowed them to add a different form of storytelling to it. Not only that, but the cameras they used were newly developed in advance. While watching, I noticed that the camera did not often focus on only the foreground or the background. Instead, movement would be used to draw the audience's attention. Not only in drawing attention, but also the movement throughout the set was advanced. Using mechanical tables and other tools to seamlessly move the camera around, this way they were able to include different angles and movement that otherwise would not be possible. Orson Welles won the Academy Award for Original Screenplay from Citizen Kane, and although many of his films after Citizen Kane were equally notable, none of them truly lived up to the prestige that Citizen Kane did. However, much earlier in his career, Orson Welles found solace in radio acting. It was a regular Sunday evening during the year 1938. Welles released his production, The War of Worlds, on a broadcast. It stirred panic in many as his acting was so brilliant paired with the sound effects and music, truly deepening the feeling of impending doom.
Lead to the inescapable assumption that those strange beings who landed in the Jersey farmlands tonight are the vanguard of an invading army from the planet Mars.
Because of this production, Orson Welles gained enough traction and popularity to be noticed by Hollywood. And he did this all at 19 years old. I was really inspired by Orson Welles just because of the amount of creativity he took into all his films and the amount of effects and tactics that he created or that he made use of that really brought me into his films. I also was just so impressed by the amount of success he experienced at such a young age. It has really inspired me to do something like that and maybe pursue filmmaking and using different forms of creative tactics that would be really cool in a movie. I also chose Orson Welles just because I knew this film, Citizen Kane, But after further research and further learning about him, I really think he's a really cool guy, and I thought that the experience of learning about him was really interesting, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Have a great day.